back to the Root Cause Podcast. Today we've kind of got a special guest, a Westerner out here with us in West Tennessee. So it's good to have Austin Cisneros with us. Cisneros, yeah. We just went over it, but you know it's new, and at least I don't have to spell it. Taylor.
Yeah.
So that's the good part. So met Austin. Austin, I just met you a month ago.
Yeah,
in Nebraska, doing some at a soil.
Nexus in the field.
Yeah, Nexus in the field, green cover on their annual. I guess they do that annually, don't they? Real intense. We didn't get to stay long, but it seemed like 2 days worth of
knowledge. Pack it in there. They really pack it in there.
Yep. So anyway, got to visiting with Austin, and he, as the more I visited with him, I said, this guy, he's pretty intelligent. So I need that in my life, and so here we are, and. Anyway, got to visiting and found out your first calling in life was school teacher, elementary.
Yeah, I taught for elementary education for 6 years out in Manhattan, Kansas. Taught 4th and 5th grade. Enjoyed that, and so it's made a good transition to what I do now.
Yeah, because you had you didn't have opinions about the soil before then, I guess.
Yeah, I just didn't have the knowledge and didn't know that it was a passion I had until I got into it. And the more I've got into it, the more I enjoy it and have truly found a passion that I didn't know I had.
Yep. So Taylor, y'all went out yesterday and did some work in the field. What is the top thing you learned from Austin yesterday?
Well, I mean, just the fact of looking at our soil, we're heavy clay, but we're able to begin to penetrate that. And we've been working on this soil health for 5 years now.
Yeah,
and,
longer.
We're finally starting to see some things happen.
Yeah.
A lot of roots. So we plant 30-inch beans, and we've got roots way past the halfway point and that deep too.
Yeah. So y'all dug some, and they were coming across, and found some nodules in the middle of the row, and
they were still pink.
Still pink. Yep. So that means they're still making nitrogen. And,
still fixing nitrogen.
Yep.
And they're an R3 plant, I'd say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And we got some pictures of that we'll post here. Right. So that's all pretty neat stuff. But now I was visiting with Austin out there in Nebraska, and he was telling me, man, I'm a regen ag advisor. And man, I just I just wanted to go, and I was like, okay, he's one of them. So I'm thinking about giving him a new title called maybe the Smart Farm Advisor, or maybe ROI advisor, or maybe thismakesense.com.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a lot of different options, but the regen is a good thing, but it does have kind of a little shell shock with it, doesn't it, Taylor?
Mm-hmm. So what do you do at your position?
So I am in charge of sales and working with producers to get a program started, to get them started on the same path that you guys are on, working towards this soil health principles, and kind of seeing what kind of pick and play, building programs to fit their program or their operation, and just really work on tailoring that and meeting their goals, and just walking beside them and helping them, see things kind of like what you were doing. I mean, we spent couple hours yesterday digging roots and on beans, and it's just kind of getting them to put on a different set of lenses and look at things differently, whether it's an insect or disease or just root development.
So how many places have you dug around? I mean, you've been way out of Kansas just digging dirt.
Oh yeah. Kansas, Nebraska, Oklahoma, Tennessee now. Quite a few. I mean, a lot of digging. Yeah. Seen a lot of roots. But yeah, it's neat to see. It's something that, I feel like we're so used to driving by, checking our crops at 30, 40 mile an hour, look good, whatever. Right. And when you get out and with different tools in your hands, whether it's a refractometer or pentrometer or shovel or potato fork, you really start to kind of look at things differently, and you observe from a different angle. And I think that's what we're lacking. And that's kind of that education piece. I think it's huge for generations in your legacy. I think that, just a simple shovel, you take a kid with you, and all of a sudden, what you and I were two boys out playing in the dirt yesterday, for 2 hours. And it's just, that's what you can take your kids, your grandkids with, and it just kind of starts to bring them into that. And you start to train them versus sitting in the truck driving 30 mile an hour. It's kind of shifting that mentality.
We talked about your approach to helping people. You're not giving them just a generic crop plan. You're
Correct.
Taking what they're doing and just seeing what they can change, just tweak a little bit to get away from I guess this big ag culture.
Synthetic program. So we start by, I and this is just something I've started over the years because it just seems like I do it for a couple of reasons. One is compatibility. As you know, we've talked about the importance of pH and tank mixing and all that stuff. So if you kind of get all the cards, you kind of you safeguard yourself when they call you and say, hey, this plugged up. Well, okay, I can kind of sort through this because I know what we did, But yeah, I like to just get their program out, get the dollars and kind of really kind of get that out in front of us and say, okay, here's where we can look at this from an efficiency standpoint, an ROI, and kind of start to say, okay, we're putting phos and zinc together. Why, here's where this is an antagonistic relationship. You're losing something there. Your efficiency's falling off the table. Front loading nitrogen or you're forming nitrogen. And the big thing I guess I start with is what are their goals?
Yeah.
If you don't have a target on the wall, you're never going to hit it. And so that's kind of where I've tried to approach things with guys is like, give me your top 3 goals and rank them from 1 to 3. And then let's start working from them one at a time until we get there. So
Taylor, I wonder what his biggest mixing screw up has been.
Oh,
we've got a whole book.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I got plenty of pictures. I got plenty of pictures.
It's just amazing how sometimes it should just be fine and it's not fine.
It's not, and it happens fast. You cannot shut it down.
Yeah, and it just, So it's
just keep adding water.
Sometimes. Yeah.
But it's,
pH is a real deal.
I guess that coming from the classroom, that was a big deal for you.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have a farming background. I didn't. And so kind of goes back to what, why I look at this the way that I do is it's an objective mindset. I don't have that generational peer pressure. So I'm able to look at it and say, okay, it's much simpler when you get away from it, detach yourself away from it. And then you really start to get into, as you guys probably noticed, like I nerd out on the weeds and the micronutrients. And when you kind of understand that and start to look at that, like what's Mother Nature trying to tell me? Those weeds are indicators of something. It's just not something that's growing out in your field that you don't want. It's an indicator that something has happened in that soil that's not supposed to be there. And, and as you guys see with cover crops, we looked at that cotton yesterday. Awesome.
Yeah.
And, the weed pressure, all those things like you could see that it paid for itself. And, so those are kind of cool things to see over time, and insect pressure and all these other things kind of just, you really start to see maybe this stuff is working, I am headed in the right direction. So.
Yeah, so I'm a big proponent of Khan Academy. It makes me smarter. And, that's how that got figured out is a guy who had a nephew, I think, who was struggling with math. He started doing those videos and posting them to YouTube and got that started. But he said one time that the only way you can disrupt an industry is get people outside the industry to develop a passion for the problem. Yeah. So maybe we found one here, Taylor. I mean, he's even one of those K-State fans, but exactly. Better than a KU fan.
That's a fact.
So we can tolerate that. So yesterday, what was the biggest takeaway from our lovely West Tennessee thin soils?
So I'd say my favorite is that field where it didn't get sprayed out, and you guys planted green into their cotton into that, right?
Well, we sprayed it, but the chemical never got to the sprayer.
Yeah.
It was just one of those oopses, But it worked out as a good test.
I mean, I was blown away by that.
Yeah.
We were digging, I bet that was probably our 3rd or 4th hole we dug. And I mean, you could tell as soon as Taylor stepped on the shovel, it was just
went straight down.
Straight down. And that you can look at that shovel as a piece of metal that went into the soil, or you could think about it from a raindrop.
Yeah.
And you guys have been wet. Right. And so that water, that water infiltration's there, all those other benefits that you're looking for, water retention when it gets hot. And like we were talking about, Caleb, July looks dry.
So it'll be cooler. The ground's
going to be cooler. Yeah, we should have done that. I didn't take any of my tools. I just let Taylor cover a shovel around.
Yeah. And it's going to allow those worms and things to go deeper as well.
Mm-hmm.
So pull those nutrients down.
Yep.
And it's going to allow the big one, oxygen.
Yep.
We have an oxygen shortage in our soils, and so compaction is our problem. And I guess it always will be an issue, but there is ways to mitigate the damage in it.
Yeah. Keep driving that carbon. I mean, that's a 70, 80-1 carbon to nitrogen ratio. When that breaks down, that's going into your system. So how do you separate 2 rocks? You got to have mud in there. You got to have carbon in there. And that's what you guys are doing. I mean, that's what's going to take though. Is you got to be able to get in between those layers. We saw roots that were shooting between, some compaction layers that just that's where they got to. But some of them were, 14, 16 inches deep. So you can tell that it's working. You're on the right track.
Yep. And so y'all buried some cotton underwear yesterday. So we're going to dig that up in 30, 60 days.
If somebody had been driving by, they'd really wondered what we were doing out there.
So did y'all bury some in that cover?
We did.
Yeah. Okay. So
put some in the hemp field.
Yeah.
Yep. So in the hemp, you were saying you were surprised for as fast as it's growing, it doesn't have a big root system.
Yeah. I mean, Taylor and I both noticed that. We pulled one up and you're got, I don't know, 3 foot of plant and
3 inches of root.
And it's, but it's extremely fibrous, which is huge. I mean, those small fiber hairs will get bigger and continue to follow those wormholes. Mm-hmm. And, but the root system to the growth on the top wasn't what you would expect, I guess. But I haven't been in a lot of hemp either. Yeah. So we're doing this for bulk, for
flooring.
Well,
they're gonna make it
they're going to make this
tonnage. Yeah,
they're making it for tonnage. So cellulose. So very interesting product. I think it's not illegal to be stupid,
right? Exactly.
And I think it's a little bit dumb not to be using hemp in our papers, our building products, a lot of things. So anyway, maybe we're going to have a success with that. It looks like it's off to a decent start.
And I think it'll help your guys' soils too, because that is going to be a big root system. Like right now, it doesn't look like that, but it hasn't had a stressed period either.
Right.
Since you guys have planted, it's been wet and hasn't had to really stretch itself to go to look for nutrients yet. I think as it gets warmer and hotter and dries out, I think that you'll see those root systems really start to get more fibrous and deeper and start to look for that water. And I think that that's going to be huge for you guys. Yeah. And, by the way, it doesn't have the good stuff in it. So you're not going to smells like it though.
You're not going to get high smoking it. So unfortunate for the local crew that's interested. But what was your first big takeaway that this is our lowest hanging fruit with our soils where we're at today? Well, we've been working on this. So you've been on farms that were at ground zero.
Oh yeah. Lots of them.
DOA soil.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, so just kind of give us a rundown of what you like to do to just go through the cycle of a starting out on a dead soil, that's hadn't been treated.
Treated like dirt, not soil.
So it's been treated like dirt from a land grant university recommendation standpoint versus treated like soil from a living thing that it is.
Yeah. So biggest thing I like to do is, being a teacher, education is key to the whole deal. And I think that's kind of what separates you guys here and big ag is we've lost our drive to want to think and our independence in our thinking. And so I think that, I love the piece of education. So I want to, try to get with guys and educate them. Hey, give them a community of other crazy people, right? Mm-hmm. Give you ideas, network, and understand that you're not the only crazy guy in the county. And then get to the testing basis of it. So we've talked about Solvix and the importance of testing, and we pull all these soil tests and pull all this. And I would say, guys spending their money on soil testing, I'd say a large percentage of them they don't even understand how to interpret them, and 2, they're not really using them to change anything on their farm. And so why are you wasting that money? So I like to get back to soil testing. I'm a big fan of Haney's, T&D's, metagenomics, and really being able to pinpoint that and look at this and say, okay, your goal is to reduce to increase your ROI. Well, that starts by looking at your inputs. And so when you get that Haney test and you're able to look at this and say, hey, you've got X amount of pounds of phosphorus and nitrogen and all these nutrients that you're applying out there. Well, what if we just start reducing them? And then you kind of back into that a little bit and give them that education piece. And so the Solvix platform's very, very easy to interpret and very farmer friendly, for lack of a better term. And so I like that. And they can kind of look at that and say, okay, yep, I have these things. These are what's going. And you can track that time really easily. And so that's kind of where I start as the testing process of it, and then really start to just kind of look at their fertility program and work in that and understand what their goals are.
Would you say if you get just a standard soil sample, is that any good without, say, a Haney or at least a T&D to know what's there?
Like you're just saying, like a conventional soil test?
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's none of the conventional soil tests are your Bray and those are not giving any recognition to biology.
Right.
And so if you're going to think about using biological products, you should probably shift your mentality to use a test that acknowledges biology.
Yeah.
And so, and the form of it too is, so like a Haney, what separates it is that is set to show those nutrients based on 3 rain events in your area. Your conventional soil test is an acid extraction.
Yeah.
An acid that you do not want to fall from the sky.
We're not going to have to get that.
Yeah, exactly. So you wouldn't want to apply that to your soil. So yeah, in a sense, those nutrients aren't there.
Yeah.
Because the biology is not there and you're not giving them any credit for that. So yeah, I'm a huge fan of Haney's. I've been using them since I've come to Elevate Ag, and I knew, very little, and Lance Gunderson and his team's been a great job of educating people. They're very passionate about what they do. They believe in what they're doing. Their customer support is awesome. And it's just, you can tell that more and more guys, it's becoming a common name.
Well, the TDNA is making sure that what it's the money behind the deposit.
Yeah, it's your. I always tell guys it's your savings account. So
yeah,
how much money is there. Your Haney is your checking account. So here's what I can spend today. Here's what I can spend over my lifetime.
Right, and so everybody will say, "Well, you're depleting the soil." We didn't even begin to tap into the soil.
No,
because we're going to build topsoil.
Yeah.
We're going to add to it, and I guess if you were doing hauling, baling, hauling off, that's another issue, but. Even in those scenarios, it's much slower than what you normally would think.
Right.
Yeah. So in the whole process of doing your testing and all, so here today, we should be somewhere 25% of gross revenue in rent, 30% in seed, seed, crop protection, and plant food. And a lot of us are running in the 50s on that. So really what your goal is to get us closer to profitability.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not going to be farming if you're not profitable.
Right. So regen the bank account.
Right.
Yeah. Regenerate, spend it and get more back than you spent.
Yeah.
So,
it's a good analogy.
Yeah. So there's a way we can do this, isn't it? And with the testing and a smart approach, I mean, y'all got a lot of evidence on the job and a lot of boots on the ground.
Yeah.
So,
yep.
Yeah. So that's the farmer's big concern always. So, yeah.
How's this going to make me money? Or, is it bugs in a jug? The biology, a lot of it's got somewhat based on previous companies have kind of put an ill taste in farmers' mouths a little bit for biology and, kind of showing them that they're not all the same. That, do a little bit of homework on your products that you're bringing into your farm and understand what you're buying and make sure that it aligns with what you're doing. The key to all of this is diversity. And so if you're buying a biological product that's just fixing one thing or doing one nutrient for you, you're not really doing yourself a disservice, and you're not capitalizing on and giving the biology a true chance.
Yeah. But the bigger issue is actually what's in your soil.
Yeah.
Do you have earthworms?
Yep.
What's it looking like?
What's
how tight is it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So that's the one we really have discounted. And that's why you like the Haney part, because that's picking up what's available. So you like to do it in the fall and then in the spring as well.
Correct. I like doing it in the fall. And the reason I do the fall is it gives us a snapshot of kind of what is going. It's a good snapshot and kind of into the future. So it's kind of that foreseeing, and so and it's an easy time where things are kind of slow and the farmers aren't doing, they're not busy every week and stuff like that. So they tend to get a lot of buy-in on that education piece. And so you kind of set it up for in the spring when you bring that on, you're pulling a test and they've kind of got a pretty good understanding of what they're looking for in their soil test. And so you've already made your decisions kind of in a sense. And so they're understanding the importance of the biology. They understand the testing process and why that's there. And so it just kind of stacks on top of it.
Yeah. So who's easier to teach, fourth graders or farmers?
Oof, I don't know. It depends on the day.
I guess that's a bad question to ask here.
It depends on the day.
Yeah. But it's, I guess both are a real challenge, aren't they?
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's, but you just got to get out there and dig and see what you got. And the earthworms are the key to the soil.
It's an easy indicator. When you dig a hole and you see earthworms, you're like, all right, and that's what I like. I've been to a lot of fields and you see that and your earthworms and you kind of think like the little kid in me comes out and it's like, well, a spot that you can go dig and look for worms and take your kids fishing, right? Like, I mean, how many guys can go do that nowadays? Like not very many.
Right.
Go to your own field, go dig up some worms and go fishing, right? Like,
yeah, I say if you can't do that, you've got problems.
Yeah, and that it's common, very common.
It's very common. Yep. So we plan to get you to come back in August, and we're going to do a root dig, and I mean we're going to dig down. How deep do you like to look?
Ooh, that's a good question. I would say like somewhere 8-10 feet would probably be a good. That's going to get you down into where you need to be, your subsoils and all that, and you're going to be able to see kind of those root systems, those different layers, years of tillage passes. I mean, it's insightful to crawl in a hole and look around and kind of see and just the different insects that are down in there. Like it's pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, and the whole carbon sequestration. So I've been watching some new stuff. I mean, it's really interesting how the plants want our garbage, which is carbon.
Yep.
I mean, it's our waste.
Yep.
And we can put that in the soil very deep.
Yeah, and you can see it. I mean, you can see it in colors of the soil.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw it yesterday, Taylor. Like you can tell when that soil starts to change colors. I mean, from different fields that you just picked up versus ones that you guys have been doing this with, there's absolutely a difference in the color of some of those soils.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
Yeah. So the different colors are telling you the texture, the more carbon.
The darker it gets, the more carbon you're sequestering, you're keeping in your system.
Yeah. And it could be there. It could be very, very old.
Yep. And it's just going to keep building. That's what that topsoil, as you build topsoil, you're just getting more, you're stacking more carbon, organic matter, all of those things are coming on it. And it's going to keep going down. Yep.
Yeah. And so far in your career, what's been your biggest success story that you've kind of, what tripped Austin into like, I'm quitting teaching school. I'm going to start teaching farmers.
Fourth graders, probably.
Yeah. No, it wasn't bad. I enjoyed teaching. I really did. It was, I guess the whole deal that kind of is where I see a lot of commonality or crossover is the relationships. If you don't have a relationship with a student, they don't care what you're teaching them. And I think that that's the same way with farmers and producers that I work with. If I don't have a relationship and you don't think that I truly care about what you're doing, you're probably not going to care about what I'm selling or what I'm talking about. And so I think that that's a big piece. And so like those relationships, I would say is, as a broad answer to that, is how some of my guys that I've worked with that have been working with me for 3 years, it was a guy that I didn't know anything about. And now they're some of my best friends. Like the relationship is so good. I look to a lot of them for mentors. And so that would be, something that I think is really heavy on my heart is the relationships that I build with guys. I mean, you too. And but seeing that and going to their operations and knowing, hey, I've been working with this guy for 3 years and they were fungicide, insecticide, starter fertilizers and knowing that they're profitable now and they'll tell you, and I would say probably one of my favorite stories is a guy in Indiana, Mac he's a good friend of mine now. And he'd been farming, young farmer, really, but high inputs and he kind of got to it and he's like, if I don't make this work, I'm not going to be farming. And he loves to farm. And the first year we got together, I mean, he called me afterwards and he's like, I've never been more profitable in all my years of farming. And now he's all in gung ho. I mean, he's got pigs and cows and cover crops, everything. And it's just, he's evolved so much, but it's just really cool when a guy tells you that and he's almost in tears and you're like, you're doing the right thing. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a preservation of the farm, of the family, of the community, of So yeah, it makes you feel good, So I guess you just always start off with soil health principles when you start working with a new client. And just kind of go around the spectrum here. And it's, that's always the same attack plan and just the quickest way to get somebody to adjust their operation. Is that how you go about it?
Yeah. I mean, getting them to understand. I mean, I think the most important one on the whole thing is know your context. We've talked about that over and over is your guys' soil out here in West Tennessee compared to where I'm at in North Central Kansas is night and day different. But it's still soil and it can still be, you can change it. I mean, there's guys all over the US that have got their soils reclassified because of the principles that they've been implemented. And so I think, getting them to understand that, hey, I'm not trying to grow I've been trying to grow 250 bushel corn when I know our soils are not built for that. So you're high inputs, but let's find something that's attainable where you can focus on your ROI. If you're more profitable on 100 bushel corn than you are on 250 bushel corn, what are you shooting for 250 for? So
yeah, well, you're supposed to,
right? Exactly. But and if you want to pay for it, that's fine. But you know, it's finding those goals and kind of shifting that mentality. And it's you know, looking at planting spaces. I mean, 15-inch rows versus 30-inch rows. Now there's guys doing 60s, you know, on beans. And so, and when you see that, you're like, what have we been doing? You know, now obviously there's the insurance game you got to play. But yeah, it's just kind of figuring these things out. And once you kind of get that, it's cool because you get excited about doing things and you're constantly playing with something else and trying to figure something out. Like, hey, I kind of got this figured out. And what if we did this? And you're stacking on that. And all of a sudden you've got all these different ideas and you're treating your farm like a, you know, like an experiment, or you're getting into farming versus just doing something that you have to do.
Yeah. And that makes total sense. You know, you, blind luck.
Yeah.
Yeah. By design, not by accident.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's amazing. I mean, because the reason I say it like that, if we've all picked up new land and it's so much more productive. And why is that? It has less salt.
Yeah.
It's been treated differently.
Had some living on it for several years.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
or not.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're big into the covers and all that. And that's, you know, I figured you were going to maintain living roots. But I get your context because, you know, we all have different goals.
Yeah.
And
I mean, sometimes you can't, you know, plant covers or it doesn't make sense, but what can you do differently to kind of help with that living system? Because that living root is everything. And as you add animals or biologicals to it, you just amplify that situation. So you take a cover crop and you put some biologicals on the seed, or you make an application with it. You're still adding more diversity on that cover crop. And
with cover crop, I mean, you got to think about all the things that come after you. How you're going to plant into it and things like that. So you may have to make some modifications. So
I was telling him earlier, you know, a lot of times our problem is it's wet and slugs. So do you have any slug issues?
No, we don't have any slug issues.
Yeah, they're pretty bad, I hear. We didn't have any, but I think they're pretty tough to deal with. So,
and it seems like we've always thought that the cover crops would be wetter, but we've got better stands sometimes in the cover crops than what doesn't have cover crops.
Yeah. So you never know on that.
Yeah.
But crazy. So, well, I mean, that's anything else you want to throw in before we look forward to you coming back. You haven't been in a cotton field much, and we're in Skip Row cotton. So you got that wide middle there.
Yeah.
The cotton plant is very different. So, I look forward to you seeing it right now as a little bitty thing about to die, and then it'll be partially a tree when you get back. And we're, you know, like I told you yesterday, just don't come back till you got like 4 bales of cotton hung and 100 bushels of beans an acre. And
exactly,
you know, so that's my ROI, you know, so that's the problem. You know, we want more, we want them big yields, and
we'll want 110 next year.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, and, you know, it'd be nice to spend 10-20% less while we're doing that. So, so that's really your passion, but yep. So if you, that's all I've really got. If you got any other great topic to cover, or.
No, I appreciate you guys, your hospitality down here and just welcoming me in and spending the last couple of days with me. I've really enjoyed it, and I greatly appreciate it and look forward to August.
Yeah. So buy you some hemp flooring.
I will. I'll work on that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Thank you.
If you've made it this far, I want to thank you for watching this video and invite you to email me at rwatt@rooted-ag.com if you're interested in joining us this August to tap into soil health and get a little bit more educated, because this is a big journey that we all need to be on. And if you made it through this video, your journey is already a little farther than it was when you started. So thank you. Have a good day.